of a brain that is relevant to these four competencies is sustaining itself, and not only sustaining its efficiency, getting better day by day. Because today, how well I do in the world is a function of how my brain and my body functions. If my brain does not function, and if I do not focus in making it optimally utilized, I will not be able to give my best to the world. So we understood the science behind all these four of it, and we got 12 ideas or 12 tools by which we could practice on a daily basis, weekly basis, to ensure that our brain remains in its optimal state of performance, collaboration, innovation, and agility. So that's what we did yesterday. I thought it was relevant for a number of you who could not attend yesterday to know what we did yesterday. And today again, it's going to be another exciting day, as all days are. And we will start off by understanding personality types. Our idea is really to understand who we are, what are our strengths, because each one of us will have very unique strengths and very unique areas of development. The first item in our agenda of change is to know ourselves. So self-awareness is a very important part, and this workshop that we are going to go through comes from our stable of international relationships that we have, and this one comes from John Maxwell. So we call it the John Maxwell DISC method personality indicator, and we will understand our personality types and also try to understand how can we identify the personality of others by identifying a few of their behaviors, so that we can then relate to them through their personality. That is what we are going to go through. So, yeah. So what are we going to learn today? We are going to learn about ourselves and also others. We are also going to discover what makes us unique, because each one of us is a unique person, and the uniqueness again comes in the area of how do we communicate, how do we lead, how do we behave, how do we connect with people. So these are the areas that we will be talking about. We will discuss the strength of the four personality types. The DISC are all separate personality types, and we will identify our own DISC, where do we stand, and also identify what are the strengths of each of these personality types. And having understood that, we will also understand how do we communicate with each one differently. So that's the agenda of the first 2 hours that we are going to go through. Now on the screen you see a sheet of paper with a large number of words. Sorry, these are numbers. So I like to give you around 30 seconds, and I want you to find out in a sequence order: 1, 2, 3, where is 4, where is 5, where is 6, what is 7, where is 8. And when I say stop, you just have to tell me the number till which you have been able to find out in this sheet, right? So if you are able to find out till 10, tell me 10. So your time starts now. Identify all, and it has to be sequentially. Look for 1, then look for 2, then look for 3, and keep doing it till the time I say stop. Your time starts now. Okay, you can stop. Now just write on the chat. I can't see the chat, so I will request Nikhil to tell me what people have typed. the number till which you have been able to find in this sheet. Just write it on the chat box.
Sir, Noor has written 1 to 11.
Okay, 1 to 11. So 11. So he or she has been able to find out till 11.
Sanjay sir till 19. Dr. Sanjay.
Wow, 19. Wow, that's a
Farhana Kareem has written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 till 14, sir.
14. Okay, so 14.
Brenda 21.
21. Wow, you guys are fantastic. Okay, great. So congratulations on being able to find this number. That shows that your observation power is really, really good. So let me also try to help you a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now make 2 lines across this page. And I'm going to share a secret with you. And the secret is that in the first quadrant where you see this number 1. So 1 is in this quadrant, 2 is in the second quadrant, 3 is in the third quadrant, and 4 is in the fourth quadrant. Likewise, 5 will be in the first quadrant again, 6 will be in the second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. So each one of the numbers are there. Now with this knowledge that you have, and with this screen in front of you, I will again give you time to find out the numbers, and let me see where do you go to. So your time starts now. Okay, so you can stop. Now just a little question for all of you. Once you got to know the pattern, was it easier for you to find the numbers? So was it easy to find the numbers when you knew this pattern or when you did not know the pattern? So just on the chat box, just write yes or no.
Everybody is writing yes, sir.
Yes, okay, great. So the fact is, the moment we get to know a pattern of a certain thing, we are able to recognize things better. And the DISC methodology exactly does that. It provides us a pattern by which we can identify the personality type of a person. And as we are able to understand these patterns, we will be able to quickly and in an error-free way really understand the person that we are interacting with, what is his or her personality type. And that is why patterns are important. Now, again, coming to pattern, if I were to tell you that these are 4 patterns that you see, just one being the one which is on the top, second is the second quadrant, third and fourth, you can very easily in your brain try to identify what animal is this. And most of us would be right. So again, understanding patterns and putting things in patterns help us quicken our effectiveness to identify them. And as we said, the first step to making a change in ourselves and change with others is to identify who they are and what they are and what is their pattern. That is where the DISC personality methodology comes into place. So the same holds true for people in our lives. If I interact with somebody and find that this person really likes numbers, he likes data, he likes statistics, every time I will talk to him, I will be able to provide him statistics and data, and the moment I do that, he will be able to understand me better. There are some people who don't want to get in too many details. They like the big picture. They want to see the big picture. They are the people who like concepts. So if I know a person who likes concepts and likes to see the big picture, I will then communicate him, giving him the bigger picture of what I'm trying to tell him, so that he can see that big picture item first, and that will help him connect with me better. Now imagine if I do it the other way. A person likes details, but I'm giving him a big picture. He's confused. And on the other hand, a person likes, let's say, big picture and I'm giving him the details, or he likes the details and I'm giving him the big picture. The person will really not connect well with me, and there will be little chances of me trying to influence him better. So with that context, we are going to identify some simple ways by which you can identify people, and having identified them, then we can relate to them in a better way and a more effective way. Now, this methodology was brought to us from William Marston, and he said there are 4 kinds of people, and the DISC stands for dominance. So they are dominant people. They want to force their views on you. They are strong. They are opinionated. Second amount of types of people are people with influence. Third kinds of people are people who are steadied. So steadiness. The C stands for compliance. So dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance are the 4 types of people. And we will delve slightly more and deeper into each one of them as we go along. So you'll get to know, is this person a D? D is dominance. Is this person or this person an I? That means she believes in influence. Is this person a S? That means he's steady. Is this person C? Is he compliant or not? Right? He believes in compliance, legal things. So these are the 4 kinds of people that we would like to know, and quickly, by their behavior, be able to identify them. So let's see the first thing. Have you ever known someone who is direct? If they drive, project forward, they do so in a manner that shows that they are bold and decisive, and they are comfortable being in control. So I would like you to write the name of such a person in your reality. So write the name of one such person that you know, who is in your real life. So just write the name, because then it will be useful for you to translate whatever you are learning to your present situation. So think of a person around you who is direct, who's bold, who's decisive, who likes to take control. Having identified that person, in front of him you can write D wired, dominance wired. So now suddenly, of the people that we interact with, we have identified 1 or 2 of these people who are D wired, dominant wired. Similarly, let's now go to finding other kinds of people around us. Who do you know who is fun, the life of the party, great at telling a story or a joke, and very popular? People love to be around him. He or she has positive energy around them. Fantastic relationships with people. So identify such a person in your reality. Who could that be? And write it down on your piece of paper. Because my idea is that by the time you finish this 1.5 hour or 2 hours, you take some real life outcomes from this. So write the name of that person. And in front of the person, these people may be I wired, influence I wired. They can influence people. They are likable. They are enjoyable. People love their company. There's always laughter around them. Who doesn't like these people? In fact, when you are not feeling too good about life, you try to seek out these people because you know the moment you will go in front of them and start interacting with them, your mood will get better. So what we have done right now is we have identified 2 or 3 people or maybe 4 people in our reality, some of them who are D-wired and the second who are I-wired. Let me also put this into context. Nothing of this is good or bad. It doesn't make a D-wired person bad and a I-wired person good. People are what they are. Okay. Having identified the D and I-wired person around us, let's find out a person who is loyal, dedicated, doesn't seek attention, keeps working behind the scene, is the backbone of your family or department, silent worker, important worker, someone who can always be counted on to support people and projects. Write down the name of such a person in your reality. Loyal, dedicated, quietly does the work, doesn't really need too much of appreciation, always there to help people. Give them a task and you know it will be done. Conscientious people. Somebody you can really have complete trust of or on. These are the steady kind of people, steadiness, and these are the S-wired individuals. Also try to find out in your own family, what is the personality type with whatever you know till now, in your own family, your spouse, your children. So see it from two contexts. One, a professional context, your reality in the professional context, and your reality in your personal context. So you can write down on the piece of paper, professional, personal. Under professional, the D-wired, who are they? One or two. In your personal life, your immediate family and your slightly bigger family, who are the D-wired, who are the I-wired, and who are the S-wired. So I'll just give you 30 seconds more to actually do this activity, because I've just expanded this to personal life also, which I did not do before. So 30 seconds, I give you time to reflect now. Okay, with having done that, let's go to the next. Let's identify a person.
सर जो ये टैग आ रहा है ना, ये स्टॉप शेयरिंग का, इसमें
हाँ
साइड में
हाँ,
हाइड हाइड है, इसमें हाइड पे क्लिक
हाइड
करो।
कर दे। हाँ वो अच्छा, थैंक यू सो मच, यू वर ऑल्सो सीइंग मी स्ट्रगलिंग विद दिस।
Yes, sir.
थैंक यू सो मच। Have you ever recognized someone who's neat, organized, and structured? They do not seek crowds and are quiet and very focused on the details. These people are the C-wired people. Again, in your personal and professional life, who could these people be?
So can one person name come in two boxes?
Sorry, it can come in two places.
Yeah.
Actually, you have stolen my thunder of the next slide, which is your right.
Okay.
Very few people will be completely D, completely I, completely S, and completely C. Most of us will at least be a combination of two. You're right, absolutely right. None of us will fall exactly only on D. So you're right. The same person can be in two places because he could have personality types of two of these. And that's what normally happens. And that is exactly what this slide is all about. That the framework of DISC is not meant to label us or place us in a box and close the lid to say he's D-type and let's stop it there. No. Each one of us is actually a combination of all four types. But by and large, the dominant style that we have is of two. I run these assessments for maybe around 1,000 people till now. Out of the 1,000, I have found only maybe 10% who have got three styles in their personality. Normally, people are two style dominant. I'm talking about dominant. Normally, dominant is of two types, right? One type is very few people. Again, I would say around 15% people come who are strongly only one type. 10% of the people are maybe three of these dominant styles, part of that. But most of us are two of this. And that is what is exactly right what you just said. So each of us is actually a combination of all of the four disc styles. However, we each have a natural set point of 1, 2, or even 3 styles. I would say by and large, 2 styles are more dominant than others. Okay, great. So that's a good question. And you got the answer, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great. So having this, let us also understand how do we get these personalities. Now there are 3 areas, 3 influences that make us who we are. The first is very simply, what are we born with? Even as a child, you'll find, 2 children born, they haven't even seen the world, but they are different, right? So something comes from hereditary, our genes. So that's one area which influences our personality. The second area that influences our personality is the environment in which we grew up. And each one of us goes to, but if we are born to the same parents also, and let's say in a case of a twin, we are born to the same parents, we are in the same family background or environment, but we will still have different experiences. So environment here means where are you born, what are the experiences that you have had. That also makes a major impact on the personality types that we develop. The friends that I had, which place did I grow up in, what was the relationship between me and my mother, how did my father treat me, what were the kind of teachers I interacted with. So all these small things, nuances of the environment, as we keep growing up, start impacting us and shaping our personality. The third, of course, is something which is very critical, and I would say in today's environment, if we lack anything, it is the role models. Today, the role models are people with money. Nobody is asking where did they get the money from. So, and most of the people that who have earned a lot of money and who are around us, we also know they are doing practices which are not right. But now, by and large, and I'm just making a point, if I ask a young person today, is that man doing anything wrong? They say, no, that's how the world is. Dad, you have to be, that's what my children say, Dad, you have to be, you have to live like the world is living. You live too honest a life. That's not how you will live in this world. You can't survive. So the role models that we identify with also impact us well. So there are three areas by which shapes our personality. And again, I'm not for one saying that what personality you are today, you cannot improve it. We all know, and that's what we talked about yesterday also, and we are going to talk about in the next session, that while the environment shapes us, we all have a choice to change if we really want to change. So, but these three things of hereditary, environment, and role models are the three major influences that make us of who we are. If we know what to expect, we can use the right strategy to bring our best to our work and relationships. And that is where the DISC comes into place. Just knowing a few behaviors of a person, and right now we are only putting people in DISC types. But then when we start understanding how can we communicate differently with them, how can we work differently with them, we will be able to build better relationship and more importantly, get better outcomes in our lives when we interact with these people. So right now, what have we been able to do? We have been able to identify people around us, both in our professional life and in our personal life, and what kind of characteristics they are showing. And like somebody really said, it is not necessary that you can put only one person in the D type. The person may also be in the I type. So with that input that we have, can somebody write in the chat box, in your own personal life, how do you think this will help you? Just write on the chat box, how can knowing what kind of people you are dealing with and what is the personality type really help you with?
No, sir, some are diplomatic
Yes, they are.
and some are moody, not diplomatic.
Yeah. And will you deal differently with them?
Yes, sir. If suppose those who are diplomatic, so I will be very cautious with them.
Yes.
And those who are moody, so I look after their mood and then only I visit them or talk.
Right. So what we are really doing is we are being authentic, but we are also being a chameleon. Today we need to be a chameleon. What is a chameleon? Girgat. We need to change our colors based on the situation and the people that we are dealing with. We were always told this, don't change your colors. But that's not true any longer. Based on the situation and the people that we are dealing with, we should be able to change our style of working and communicating with them for achieving a common good that supports them, supports us, and supports the larger good of the community and the society and our organization. So that's the advantage that you have, and thank you so much for this. Okay, let us now start identifying ourselves. Let's say you are standing in front of an elevator and the elevator is about to open and you feel, I hope nobody's in this elevator. Because if there'll be somebody in the elevator and this is an office elevator, I will have to make pleasant talk. I don't want to do pleasant talk. I just want to be alone. So when the door begins to open, if you secretly hope that no one else is in this elevator, that would indicate that you have more reserved nature. So just identify, is this you? If this is you, you can write your name and write reserved in front of this.
So what if one day, because of some reason that I wanted the elevator to be like that, and mostly the other days I would not prefer it that way.
Yeah, so one odd day for each one of us, we want to be left alone. That's okay. But we are talking about normally if you feel that, right? So one odd day, each one of us can have those days, right? One off days, a person who's quiet may also like to talk to some people. But we are talking about what is more consistent in your life, right? So we'll keep those one odd days aside because those are anomalies. We are talking about consistently what would you like to be. Yes, somebody was saying anything.
Sir, official time we are supposed to be reserved only. We can't be free at official places. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by reserved? When you say reserved, if do you find in your official space there are some people who like talking, who reach out to people? Do you find people like that also?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. So we are not saying good or bad. That what you are saying is that in an official time I need to be reserved, right?
Yeah.
That is what you feel. But do you also find some people who are not reserved even in official time?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, so again, there's no good and bad. But if you feel it is important for you to be reserved, then you are the reserved type because that is what you feel and there's nothing wrong about it. Right?
Okay, sir.
So if you feel that is the right way to do a thing, please remember it is the right way for you and there is no harm in that. But it may not be the right way for somebody else. And again, there may be no harm in that. Right? So we are not trying to put ourselves in saying good person, bad person, right person, wrong person. No, we are saying this is who we are. Right? So just check whether you are reserved or not. So normally the CNS, the compliant and the steady people are reserved. So if you are reserved, you can write C question mark, S question mark. So I can now be, if this is what I want, I could be in C or I could be in S. We'll see as we go further. Now we are trying to identify who we are. Till now, what did we do? We identified people around us, but that's important, but we must also know who we are, right? So if that was your situation where you normally want to be left alone, you don't want to talk too much, you are a silent type, then you are a reserved type, and a reserved type could be either a C or a S. Okay. On the other hand, if you are the kind of person like me, who when the elevator opens, you want somebody to be there. You are looking for somebody there because you want to engage with people. And you are curious and super excited to see who's on the other side. And if it is empty, you say, oh, how boring. If that is who you are, then you are more outgoing. So again, identify from your own self, by and large, are you the reserved type or are you the outgoing type? Now, having identified that, you will see that the dominant and the influencing type are the people who are by and large more outgoing. So if you are the outgoing type, you can write D. So you can write your name, outgoing, in front of D question mark, I question mark. So the compliant people, yes.
Maybe if I have the elevator with no one, I'll just enjoy it, start clicking my selfies or start clicking pics. And if I have people in it, I'll be enjoying again. So I may not expect anything. So what would be my character in that case?
Okay, let's forget the elevator. Let's say, do you really do you enjoy interacting with people?
Yeah, much.
Do you reach out to people without them reaching? So then you are outgoing type, right?
Thank you.
The good part that what you have said is also showing outgoing, that even if you are alone, you are still keeping yourself busy or you're still excited about it, right? But other than that, do you normally see people and you say, oh God, I'll have to talk. I don't want to talk. Yeah. Is that who you are? If not,
No, that's
then you
never
are,
me. That's never
yeah, then
me.
you are the outgoing type.
Okay.
Sir, Dr. Sanjay has written mix of both reserve as well as outgoing.
Can happen. Can happen. We will see.
And
That
Sanjoy Roy, yeah,
yeah. So what it really means, and we'll come to that later. And I'm only giving you a methodology to truly get to know. You'll need to do an assessment. So when you say and somebody says I am the outgoing and I'm also reserved, that means you could be a combination of D or C or I or S. So that combination is also possible, right? So, but we'll see. As of now, we are not going forward from, we aren't taking a step forward. We are just taking it one step at a time. Yes, what did somebody else say?
Sanjoy Roy, he has written his name and D. I need people to express myself.
Great. So you're a D, absolutely. And I won't say D, right? Let's not come to D right now. As of now, you're outgoing. We'll get to know whether you're D or not. But as of now, you know you're outgoing, right? So we'll not jump into saying if I'm outgoing, I'm D. You could be also I. If you are reserved, we won't jump to the fact to say that I am steady. You could very well be a C, right? So as of now, we are keeping that option open. We are not coming to a solution as of now. But right, if you are reserved, you could be a C or a S. If you are outgoing, you could be a D or a I. If somebody says I'm both, that is rarely the case. See, by and large, you would have either you'll be more outgoing or you'll be more reserved. By and large. But yes, I can still believe somebody who says I'm both, and I'm nobody to question that. That means then you could have a combination of D or a C or a I or a S, or D or a S or a I or a C, right? That's all. Okay.
So
we
I have a
Yeah.
question, sir, if you don't
yes.
mind.
Yeah, please, please.
So why we are going with the this indicator, the Maxwell this Matrix indicator, personality indicators? We are having Mayer's indicators of personality and others too.
Yeah, there are thousands of them. So we are only you cannot take everything at the same time, right? You have Myers, you have 360 degrees, you have a psychometric test of n number of types. Why we are going with DISC is because of only one reason. This type fundamentally gives us input which is useful for leaders.
Okay.
And in leaders, this type gives us two things. What is your leadership style? One. What is your work style? Two. What is your communication style? Three.
Okay.
Right? So that's the reason why because we are into leadership development. Our company, Prime Meridian Consulting, has got a tagline: "We build leaders everywhere."
Sir,
you know,
question.
just a minute. Let me just finish this, please. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
please.
that's the reason why we have taken this, because we find this, and this is not the ultimate. We have
Okay.
got 12, we have got 8 different assessments, right? Now, depending on the need of an organization, depending on what they want to find out. But this is only one of them. And again, there's nothing to say this is right, that is wrong. Each one has got its own advantages. Some
Okay.
give some other kind of stuff. This gives these 3 major areas which we are interested in. That's the only reason. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Somebody was asking a question, please.
Yes, sir. I'm Farhana Karim. Most of the time, I love to mix with others people. Love to go with. In fact, I enjoy going picnic or shopping or
Very
restaurant with friends and others. But in office environment, I love to keep myself very reserved. Then in that case, and even I do not allow gossiping in my surroundings or office premises. In that case, where I am.
Okay. So what I would say, you are naturally an outgoing person, but because of certain environmental reasons, you are changing your personality in a professional setting. Right? Is that good or bad? Again, I never judge anything as a good or bad. I just ask one question when people say anything like this. I said, is it serving you well? Is your change of personality that you are wanting to do in an office surrounding? And see, you're also combining one more thing to say, I don't like gossiping, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is why I don't encourage it in my professional setting. And that is why I am slightly more reserved in my professional setting. But on the other hand, without doing gossiping, can you still have a good time and interact with people and build better relationship in your office, in your office environment? Can
In
that
fact,
also happen?
In fact, I prefer like a tea break. Then I can gossip. I can.
Great.
Okay.
Great. So you are actually an outgoing type, but you are able to put that aside in a time when you find it is not relevant. That's okay. But otherwise, you are outgoing type, because what you are saying, that is what I'm coming from. The final thing can only happen once we get your psychometric test done. But when you say that in my personal life, I go like going to picnics, like going shopping, I like talking to people, even in office. During the time when I'm working, that time I don't want to talk anything, but during tea break, I like to do that. So you're by and large an outgoing type, right? And that is okay. While working, I don't want to be distracted. And at that point in time, I don't want to have unnecessary communication or conversation with people. And that distracts me from my work. So that time I am focused on doing my work, and that is a good thing to do, right? But by and large, your personality seems to be outgoing because you enjoy interacting with people. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. Okay. So we have identified whether we are reserved or outgoing. Who of us here are outgoing and who of us here are reserved? Just put it on the chat box, reserved, outgoing, so that we generally get to know how many of you have been able to identify whether you are outgoing or reserved. Okay, now let's go and find out the other two elements of who we can be. Now, imagine you're planning a vacation. And in the planning of the vacation, you are the person who is very detailed, very conscientious, writing everything that needs to be done, right? You are focused on what needs to be got done in order to go. Passport is available, money is available, map, and you're making notes, you're writing it down. You're conscientious. Everybody in the family only looks at you to be able to put everybody's thing in the bag. If this is the kind of person you are, then you are task oriented. And a task oriented person can be a D or a C. So just write down, if that's the kind of person, you can write task oriented. Also, when you go for a holiday, that's my wife, right? She has got everything planned down to the right. 9 o'clock, get up. 10 o'clock, finish breakfast. 10:30, start going for sightseeing. So and I said, come on, yeah, relax. We are on a holiday. She said, no, we have to follow this. This is the plan for the day. The plan for the day is made by her, given to every one of us, and we have to follow it. So she's completely task oriented, and thank God for it. Because she does exactly the same when she's home. Everyone, where is my hanky? Where is my purse? Where is my daughter's water bottle? Everything is known to her, right? And in the morning she gets up, she's got a diary, she writes on all the things to do. On the fridge, she's put that magnet with what she needs to buy from the market. So any person like that, if that is what you are, then you are task oriented, and you could be a D or a C. On the other hand, if you're going for a vacation and you're only thinking about what will you do, how will you enjoy, you're not detailed, you are spontaneous, you are allowing yourself to do what you want, you just want to have fun. You let things happen as they are, right? Without putting any burden on yourself. If that's the kind of person you are, then you are people oriented. So what we have been able to identify is whether we are reserved or outgoing, whether we are task-oriented or people-oriented. Now from this, if you find out that you are outgoing and people-oriented, then you could be a I. If you are task-oriented and reserved, you could be a C. If you are task-oriented and outgoing, you could be a D. And if you are a people-oriented and reserved, you could be a S. So based on what you have identified, just again write down on the chat box, where are you really coming out? Are you a D or you are I, S or C? And again, we are taking a very broad outlook on this, right? I'm not in any way saying this is what defines you. So just write down the chat box, D, I, C or S. What are you? So what have we done so far? In the first step, we identified some behaviors that we can see in others, based on which we can put them whether they are a D, I, S or C type of personality. We also did 2 little exercises to try to identify where do we belong. Okay. Any questions so far?
Any diplomatic, what we will say to any diplomatic personality?
So when you say diplomatic, what does it mean?
Yeah, change himself or herself.
Who keeps changing herself?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say then the person is actually having no personality, right?
Okay.
And he is a people pleaser. So I would call that person a people pleaser.
Okay, sir.
Right? So he would be people oriented. One thing for certain. Because if you're changing yourself, again, nothing good or bad. So what you said is, I change myself based on people, right? That's what you said. So
Yeah.
your focus is that you are people oriented. One thing, very clearly, right? Now, when you are people oriented, is it when you are being people oriented, do you feel reserved or do you feel good about it? Do you feel outgoing in that or do you feel reserved? Do you feel good about it or do you feel you're being constricting yourself?
I don't know, sir. Actually, it's like that. I have noticed this kind of personality. That's why I asked.
Okay. So you're saying it's not about me. I've noticed some people who are like
Yes,
this,
sir.
right? Okay,
Yes, sir.
great. Yeah. So by and large, these people do not have a personality at all of their own, right? Or they are so good that they are able to change themselves. So you know the person. Do you think he's so evolved that he's able to change himself based on the need? Or is the person actually not at all evolved and he's only, he gets dominated by everybody in this. So if somebody is dominant, he will also, so will he become dominant? I doubt it, right? If somebody is dominant with him, he'll become compliant. So this person really can have, either he's a saint or he's nothing. That's what I understand, right? Either he's perfect, he can change based on all conditions, or he has nothing that for himself, nothing to show for himself, and he just becomes what the other person is. So he's got no personality of his own. So it could be any 2 things.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now, with a simple question, we can.
Sir.
Yes, please.
No, you proceed, sir. Let you finish this and then I ask my question.
No, you can ask now. No problem.
Mine is I travel regularly and I do calcs and treks and all. So I kind of know what and all I can take things. I mean, it is like my mind and my hands know it very clearly. And since I travel periodically, things are like I can go pick the bag up and put things up. So that has become a regular, but I always keep my, apart from my trekking, otherwise I keep my travel blind. I don't book things and all. I go on the go and try to explore things and all. So where would I fit in now?
So I'll give you a different situation. I'll give you a situation. Tell me one thing. Right now, if I ask you to open your diary, do you have a to-do list made for yourself for today?
I say for example, for my work, I have a to-do list. I keep a checklist. Otherwise, I'm not. Yeah.
So for your work, you have a to-do list. Yes.
Yeah.
if you have to give a EMI or you have bought an insurance, have you put those
No,
dates somewhere?
professionally for the company I'm working there on my profession, I have a to-do list.
Yeah,
For my
so now
personal things, I don't have.
No, so now I'm coming to the personal one, right?
Mm.
In your personal ones, have you got somewhere noted down when you have to make payment of a EMI or when you have to make a payment for insurance or when do you need to invest? Are you doing that?
No, I didn't.
You don't, right?
No.
So in your personal life, you have nothing that you write down. The birthday,
Mostly
anniversary days, nothing. Mostly no.
No, I could remember things, so mostly no.
Yeah, but in your brain, at least you know that, right?
Yeah, I remember it. I remember.
Yeah, do you miss something important on a day-to-day basis in your personal life that you had to do but you missed it?
The problem is, no, my husband keeps track. I mean, he keeps those things well in track, so I don't even go and ponder about it. All those things and all, he's pretty good in doing that. So
Okay,
we have.
so let us imagine he was not good at it. Would you be happy? Would you be comfortable about it then? Let's say if he did not do anything of that, would you feel the need to do it?
Maybe, but I think I would have better taught him to do it. That would be my preference.
Yes, but your preference is still to get it done.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that means you're task oriented.
Okay.
Right? You don't let it go because your husband does it and it is there. That's why it is. If it was not, you would have still taught him. You are saying that I would have taught him, right? Because you want things in your personal life also to be set. You don't want.
Yeah, maybe yes. I want things to be done. If I make sure that people gets it done. I allot people.
Fair enough. But that's a good. Another person. If I come to your house, is your toothpaste in your bedroom and is your comb in your drawing room?
No, mostly it will not be that messy. But if you take my cupboard and my husband's cupboard, his cupboard is very organized. Like it, for one time, if I fold it and keep it, is like that for the whole year. Mine is like every month I have to do it again.
Yeah, but you do it every month, right?
I kind of, I do.
Yeah,
when it gets too messy, I get irritated seeing that piled up things.
Yeah, so but then that means again you want things back into place. Right?
Yeah, very much so.
So you're task oriented by and large.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Great.
That really helped. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, great. So great questions, and I'm very, very excited to find that people are really wanting to know who they are. And again, these assessments are not very costly or very difficult. If you really want to know, it's always worthwhile doing an assessment to get to know your type, and then learn as to what areas you need to improve in case there are certain areas which are letting you down. Okay, so with a simple question, we can find out whether the person is outgoing or reserved, task-oriented or people-oriented. Here is how you will know you're communicating now with a D-type person. If you agree to go to lunch and the person wants to drive you to lunch, and even if it is your caste, he says, no, I will drive, or she says, I will drive. If that's the person that you are connecting with, right, who likes to take control every time, then you are communicating or interacting with a D person. Right, again, going back to the people that you talked about and you wrote D, again try to find out, does this person come into that area? Or do you come into this area? Do you also like to take too much of control? So the D type are the ones who are just 3% in the entire population. And this is a huge data, worldwide data. Out of 100%, only 3% people are the D type. And they are the people who seek control, who are decisive, who directly tell you what they want to tell you. They don't beat around the bush. And they are focused on getting results. So, who out of you are the D type? You could just write for yourself. If this you are, you form 3% of the entire population. How do you know you're communicating with the I type? Think of someone in your circle of family, friends and colleagues who is fun to be and can tell stories that capture your attention. So in a party, he's always the center of attraction. Such a person is the I type. He's persuasive, he's spontaneous, he's friendly, he loves to be in the spotlight. Now 11% of the people come under this area. So again, check out, do these four types of behavior define you? If they do, then you are the I type, 11%. How will you know that you're communicating with the S type? They are loyal, helpful, can always be relied upon. As we talked about, 69% of the people across the world are S type. They are team oriented. They follow through. They are loyal. They have a lot of acceptance of other people. They are not very judgmental, right? They believe in getting the work done quietly, without showing off, without being loudmouthed. They like to work as a group. So 69% of the people come under this category. Then the C type, you will see that they are always on time, their desk, home, even the garage is very well organized. The lady who was talking, your husband is very clearly a C type, right? So they are compliant, they are analytical, they are planners, they are accuracy, they are accurate, they like numbers. Normally in the
I
finance,
think it's a combination of S and C, sir.
S and C, okay, great. So
Yeah.
S and C, again, as we said, they will always be in combination, right? So, and two combinations are the ones which normally are more dominant, two of them, S and C. So very clearly, he's S and C. So 17% of the people, and normally professionals who are in finance, normally are these kind of people. So really speaking, if we knew this, we would even have chosen our careers based on what type of personality we are. People who are this, and let's say they are in let's say areas where they need to be interacting with people, making relationship, and they're too compliant, they will not do well. But people who are into areas of, let's say, quality control, in the areas of financial management, if he's the C type, he will find success in his professional life because his personality type connects with the personality type that is required in that profession that he is in. So with that, let us also understand how to communicate with these people. How do I communicate differently with each one of them? So what is the main purpose of communication? Anybody? You can just write down. What do you think is the main purpose of communication? Why do you communicate people? To do what? Just write in the chat box.
What is the purpose of communication?
So somebody can read out whatever is written in the
Sir,
chat box.
Ansari has written share.
Share. Very nice.
We do communication to connect with people.
Fantastic.
Dr. Sanjay.
Fantastic. So that is exactly what is right. Communication is nothing but connecting with people. Like John Maxwell says, connecting increases your influence in every situation. That is why you communicate to connect. There's a beautiful program that John Maxwell has, and it's also a book. It says everybody communicates, few connect. So there's a difference between just communicating. People who communicate and connect with people are the people who can influence others. And when I can influence others, I can give value to others. So that is the main purpose of communication. So when you have to, yeah. Yes,
So Brinda ma'am has written information and thought sharing, getting the work done, collaborating.
Absolutely. So all you are doing to connect with people, to get a result, to get an outcome, to build relationships. Now, when you are communicating with a D person, you have to be direct and to the point. He doesn't or she doesn't have time to waste. So you go and say, hey, I just come to tell you, today we are having a meeting. In this meeting, the agenda is A, B, C, D, E. So and so attending the meeting. I request you also to come. And thank you so much. We'll see you in the meeting, and you walk away. You don't have to give them too much about why the meeting was there. You know, what was the background of this meeting. If you do that, the person who's a D type will lose interest and he says, I'm not coming for the meeting. He wants exactly to the point communication. Ask what questions, what do you want? What can we do? Rather than how can we do it? Because they don't want to get too much into details at that point in time. They are the action doers. They focus on results. Don't ramble too much. Discuss a problem and its effect on the outcome. So don't get too much into problem. Discuss what the problem is, why the problem is. This is the problem. This is the impact that is happening, right? So you have to be very direct with these people. To the point. Give them the facts. Say things as they are. Don't beat around the bush. So a D person communication this is how you need to change your communication based on if the person that you're connecting with is a D type. Now what happens if you're communicating now with the I type? Now this person likes interacting, right? So he likes sharing. He likes talking, he or she. So don't do all the talking. Give your point of view, ask him his point of view, respect and appreciate their point of view, don't ignore their ideas. Before you go and talk to him about business or the work, do some small talk. Hey, how are you? Looking very smart today. Lovely pant, man. Where did you buy it from? How's your wife? How's your child? You had a birthday coming. How did the birthday go? So spend some time in the initial time to get personal with this person. And once you have become, well, it doesn't have to be half an hour of personal talk time. No, it can be just a minute or so, right? Just socialize, connect at the human level, and then get to the business at hand. And whatever you do, this person may forget a lot of things. Follow that up in writing so that whatever you have discussed, the person does not forget about it, because the person is too much into relationships, right? So this person may forget what you have talked. 4 short 10-minute discussions are better than 1 40-minute discussion with this person. So that's the kind of communication change you will need to do when you are connecting with the I type of a person. Now coming to the S type. S is the steady type. Create a friendly tone for the discussion. Show interest in them. Don't be overly aggressive. Minimize the potential of confrontation. Right? So be easygoing with this person. They take time to warm up. Give your definition of goal. What is the role of people? And they will not be able to make very fast changes. Give them time to change, because they like following a process and order. If you ask them to change that process, that of how they are doing things, and expect them to do it tomorrow, it's not going to happen, right? So you have to give them more time. You have to be more persuasive. You don't need to be aggressive. You can be assertive with them, right? But at the same time, don't be too pushy with these people. Otherwise, they will clamp up. They will push back because they're used to doing things in a particular way. So that's the kind of communication style you must use when you do with a S type of a person. Now, compliant person, provide all the detail, use validated facts. See, people want data. Finance guy, right? Be precise in your explanation, be very specific, be patient, answer all the questions, and follow up to provide them with additional data they require, because they will always want more data. When you say this, what's the data behind it? Come on, give me that. So you can always notice some of our bosses are like this, right? They want a lot of details and data. Now, based on that, your communication style with each 4 of them needs to change. You have already identified, based on their behaviors, what kind of style they have. You have also identified what is your natural style. So what happens if you are a D, right? You are a D, but somebody else is a I. Now the conflict will take place. He doesn't want to waste time. You want to talk about big things, socialize. So D and I will always get into conflict. So what you need to do is, while you don't have to completely change yourself, but you have to modify your behavior, your communication style when you're dealing with people like that. That is why different strokes for different folks. You can't treat everybody the same way. A lot of people tell me this, I'm like this. I always talk straight. So that would be very good when you're talking to a D type person. But when you come to an I type person or a C type person, that may not be very, very relevant. So to build effective relationships, we have always heard about the golden rule. Do unto others as you will like them to do unto you, right? But now there's also something known as a platinum rule. And what is the platinum rule? Do unto others as they would like them to be done to them. So don't treat everybody like yourself. Treat everybody like they are. And if you are able to change yourself based on what their need is, that's a platinum rule, right? You do unto others as they would like people to do unto them. So with a D type, you're doing it differently. With the I type, you're doing it slightly differently. And you are meeting their requirement rather than meeting your requirement. You will be able to build effective relationships with them. So what style is best? The answer is your style. What? Because we said none of this style is good or bad. Why is your style good? Because that's what your novel personality style is. You have to identify your strengths. You have to work with your strengths. Right? But at the same time, the areas you are not good, while when you are communicating, you are doing it with your strength. When you are understanding, you are doing with your strengths. But you also have to understand the strengths of others and their wants. And that is where you need to change yourself for that period of time so that you can connect and build better relationships with them. So that's where we are. Identify one thing that really sticks in your mind from all that we have shared. One thing you have learned or will do differently as a result of what we covered. Just write that down. What is your takeaway from this? And if you want to do these assessments, you want to be debriefed on this, you want to get it done for your team, because that is very relevant. When you get it done for your team, everyone in the team knows who each other is, what type of personality each one is. And you all can then start treating each other as they would like to be treated. Then you can contact us for that. Also write down one learning that you have got and what is one thing that you will do differently from what you have learned in this session.
Sir, Sanjay Roy has written best style in your style. Very true.
Very right. Very true.
Brinda ma'am, this is very simple yet very powerful session. I got a clarity professionally and personally.
Great. Very, very nice. See, we need a combination of styles to make this world a better place to live in. If everybody was a D, imagine how much of competition there would be in this world. Everybody would be cutting each other's throat. So we need saner people. And the good news is there only 3% of the people are D in this world. So life is a better place. But at the same time, we need people like that. Where do we need them? Crisis. When the work needs to be got done, I'm looking for the D type then. And that time, they are the most useful that we can have. Okay. Any other question that you have in your mind? Anything about what we have learned? Especially from the context of what we have learned today.
Sir, I have a question, sir, if you don't
Yes.
mind.
No, not at all. I'd love to take it.
Yeah. See, sir, I have gone through different theories of leadership, style theory, situation leadership theory, path goal theory, trait theory, and transformational theory.
Transformation, yeah.
Yeah. And on the basis of these theories, which I am teaching and I am learning too, so it's like that I found that some leaders like Steve Jobs falls in the category of transformation, and he has to look after the situation. He has implemented situation leadership theory. And if suppose we look after other leaders like Gandhi ji, Subhash Chandra Bose, or Alan Mark, he falls in the category of leader. So I have always a understanding that the leader does not possess a particular style of leadership or at a time. He possesses a particular style of leadership at a time, but at other time he's supposed to adapt any style, any different style of leadership. So I want that you should just come up with your inputs regard to this.
Absolutely. What you said is right. That is why I say you should be an authentic chameleon. A leader should be able to change his style based on circumstances and the environment that he's working on. Let's say if Gandhiji was made CEO of Apple, would he have been successful?
No.
Unless he changed his style.
Yes.
So what Gandhiji decided? Gandhiji did not become Gandhiji in one day. He
Obviously.
worked on himself, identifying the leader he should be, who can get the entire mass support to enable India to become independent nation. So he identified that. He said, without violence, how can I be the, what can be, so everything, right, the way he talked, what he wore, everything was meant to be done so that he could get that mass support going, and that also non-violent mass support. And how could he touch the people? That time, most of the people were living in villages. He had actually done his education abroad. Had he been wearing a suit and talking
बोल दो ना
to people,
ठाकर, वो इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, कितने प्रमोशन हो, क्या क्या चाहिए?
मैम आपका उसमें है, you just mute yourself. हाँ जी. So what he did was, he said, if I have to connect with the rural people, most of the countryside Indians were rural. He started wearing the clothes that a rural person wears. Right? He started living in the life of a rural person. So the right leader is that leader, and we'll talk about it when we come to the third session today. A right leader is that leader who can change his style based on the need of an organization.
Okay, sir. So the understanding which I have put in front of you, you are completely agree with it. I'm really happy because you're such an expert person in the field of leadership. But
Thank you,
I have another question regard to the same thing.
Yes.
As we were discussing about this method personality indicator, and I myself used to take Myers indicator personality model. I used to teach that. So I believe that so these indicators are very good with regards to judging a major part of someone. But as it is written by Sanjay sir also, that we ourselves are having different personality inside. So how much is it worthful, like just to know a person in a major way, like he is dominating and influencing, he update, or extrovert, introvert on the basis of physical personality?
Okay, so let me give you my point of view.
Okay.
Today, the number of assessments that there are multiple, right? But if you see that, they can be generally be put into two categories. One is psychometric, and the second is 360 degree. Now, in my experience of work that I have done, I have realized a 360 degree assessment is a better way of identifying who you really are than a psychometric assessment. Because a psychometric assessment, by and large, tells you who you are based on the answers you have given, right?
Yes, sir.
But most of the behaviors that we demonstrate are not noticeable to us, but they are noticeable to people around us.
Yes.
So 80% of the assessments that we do are 360 degree assessments. And what does it mean? If I need to get an assessment done for myself, I choose 12 to 18 people who see me on a daily basis.
Okay.
And these 12 to 18 people are given a set of 92 questions based on granular behaviors of mine. Right? What is granular behavior? Does Pawan listen more first before he starts giving advice? Does Pawan explain the purpose of why he wants you to do a thing before he gets into details? Now, this 92 behaviors of mine are not judged by me. They are judged by 12 to 18 people around me.
Okay.
And I also do my own self-assessment. And every time when we do that, we identify that my self-assessment has got blind spots. There are certain behaviors where I am saying I'm doing well, but the 18 people who give feedback on me say, no, he's not doing that well.
Okay.
So the best assessment is not about who I think who I am. It is about how do people around me perceive me.
Okay, sir.
Right?
I got the answer. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got the answer.
And there's a beautiful sentence that Marshall Goldsmith talks about this. He said, perception is reality. Meaning, if you perceive me like something, I can't say, no, you didn't get me right. It is your perception based on what my behavior that I am demonstrating, which I don't even know I'm demonstrating. Right? And whose responsibility is now to change that perception? Not that person. I am responsible to change my behavior, because that behavior will change the perception of that person about me. So in my view of whatever I've done, and I've done thousands of such interventions, a 360-degree input is a better input than purely a psychometric input.
Okay, sir.
Right? So
Thank
that's
you.
my view on that. Having said that, why psychometric is easier? Let me be very clear. Everybody cannot get a 360-degree done. Everybody does not also have the maturity to get it done. If I ask a person to get a 360-degree done and the person is not matured enough, and let's say, I'll tell you a very simple example. There was a 360-degree assessment that I did for a MD of a company, MD. Now this MD of the company, when he got the 360-degree assessment of 18 people around him, and I discussed that with him, this person immediately got into a state of depression, because what he thought about himself was completely opposite of what people were telling him. And he said, Pawan, this is what they think about me. This is not what I am. How dare they? This MD of a company, and I'm talking of big company, did not come out of his room for 10 days. He locked himself up. Now this person was not ready at that point in time, and the mistake that I had made, that, so because we all learn from our mistakes, is always ask the person, would he like to do a self-assessment, which is a psychometric tool? Because when you do a psychometric tool and whatever comes out, you don't feel victimized. You don't feel this is what people say. You can say, okay, maybe I didn't do it right? But when I get a 360-degree, I need a lot of maturity to handle that feedback. And not everybody can do it, and that is where psychometric comes into place.
Okay, sir.
So that's
Thank you for your input, sir.
Yeah, subtle difference between both of them. Great questions. Any other questions? Yeah.
So Sanjay sir has written, every one of us is having many personalities inside us. Whenever we are dealing with people, we need to understand their personality type or with face they are acting.
Yeah.
DISC personality indicator has given a thoughtful insight to the way we need to connect with each other. The most important is when we are working in a team, it is to help each other with respect, irrespective of role we are doing in the team, in that team task.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, one more very important thing is when you are doing it with a team. See, I can't be all types. If I'm a D type and I want somebody in my team who's a S type, I have a lot of work which is needed to be given to a S type. Then what I can do is I can hire a S type. So in a team, if you have different kinds of styles available within the team, I can know which job to give to whom. And that is why it is very important for us to do a DISC assessment for our teams, so that I know and the team knows who is the better person to do a particular job and who is a person who can be given another kind of a job which may not be relevant to a person who is dominant but needs a compliant. He needs to follow rules, right? Or he needs to be steady and be able to do the task in a manner that is people oriented, but also he can quietly do it without blowing his trumpet. So it depends on, so that's why you need a mix of people in your team. Absolutely, sir. I think Sanjay sir has said it very well, and he's kind of summarized it very beautifully. Great.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a D in my team, and any point of time when we come in, if we have to tell something, some behavior of him or something in the work that is hurting us or that is irritating us, and then it is very difficult to have a conversation with that person.
Yeah.
How
Good.
to deal with that?
So let me go directly to what, yeah, 1 second. We're communicating with D.
Yeah.
The last thing is more important. Discuss a problem and its effect on the outcome. So let's say this guy is very aggressive, let us say, right? So when you call him, you say, Rajesh, lovely to, kind of connect with you, and thank you so much for coming. So I just want to kind of quickly, come to the point. There are some fantastic, things that you bring to the table for the team. And I would like to appreciate that you are direct, you are decisive, and you take actions. And, whenever we want a thing to get done fast, I always trust you to do that. And thank you so much for being in our team for that. Having said that, let me also tell you that at times, your behavior makes others feel that you are targeting them. And when they feel that they are being targeted, they get into a shell and their own performance reduces. So, and I'm sure you don't want, and I know that you don't want to put them down, but with X person and Y person, please try to be slightly less aggressive and be more friendly whenever you give a point of view, because without all of us giving our best to our team, we are not going to achieve our team goals. That is why I just wanted to tell you about it. You have certain great points, but with these two people, when you are assertive, the outcome is that they then become submissive, and then they do not contribute to the team goals, and that impacts all of our results. And I'm sure you want our team to win. So that's the way you will need to kind of talk to them. Focus on results, focus on the problem and its effect. What is the outcome of that thing that is happening? His behavior, how is it impacting others? So if you are able to kind of do that, you should be able to make a better connection with him. And also a D type, never confront them in front of in public. Always talk to them in private, because they have at times they have egos.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't want to be pointed out in front of people. One-on-one, they'll be able to handle it. Right? And you can say, see, I am saying it for your own good, because I see that you have a lot of potential. But if there is too much of aggression in what you do, you may not be able to reach the position that you really deserve to achieve. So it's for your own good that I'm talking about this. Right? So you have to put it in that manner that they realize that this behavior of theirs will prevent them to achieve, because they are very ambitious people, right? And if you tell them that this particular quality of yours will come in the way of your ambition, they will be more likely to hear it. So that's one way of handling this entire thing.
And if we had told like 3-4 times and still the same thing is followed up, I mean, the same thing repeats.
Right. So in that case, I would be direct. I would write a mail to them and say, this is an official mail that I'm putting on record. I've had conversations with you in the past. These are 3 things that I've asked you to change in your behavior in respect to others. Since I am seeing no improvement in it, I'm constrained to put it in writing. But I know with the kind of energy that you have and the ambition that you have to grow, you will work on these 3 things, and I will see you making a great effort to make those changes in your life. This is a one-on-one mail, and I hope I do not now need to take it. In the next 3 months, I will be observing you, and I hope I see the necessary changes that they are, or else I will be constrained to take it to the next level. Direct, on the spot, recorded. Just do it with him or her, and you may see a change in the person.
Sure, sir. I think this would help. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Great. A lot of real life examples. Anybody else? Any other question that you have? Okay, if there's no other question, let's take a 15-minute break now. Let's get back at 11 o'clock. The next session is a very, very interesting session. And let's go through that with that. So I will just log out now because I have to reconfigure my setup, and we will then get connected at 11. 11 o'clock we'll start, right? So Nikhil, any instructions you want to give? Yeah.
Nothing. We will get back at 11 o'clock sharp. It is better you be online. Everybody should be online. Sir, you can log off, sir.
Yeah. I'll log off so that I can reconfigure
Yeah.
myself. Thank you so much.
Participants are requested to be online, and we will connect again at 11 o'clock.